Hated the day. The day was a miserable day. I mean, it was a...
Really? I thought...
Well, was it? Well, I can tell you now, it was the worst royal engagement I ever did, a royal wedding I ever did. You know, I thought to myself, you know, this is all showbiz rubbish. The whole thing was just stage managed to suit them. Worst royal wedding I ever did. He was angry, and I felt, you know, we were punished for that. To offend our queen, like he did in that book, you know, it really upset the king, and you know, I don't think he could easily forgive that.
Arthur Edwards has revealed new details about Meghan and Harry's wedding, and the story is not flattering. It is embarrassing for both the couple and the royal family. When Meghan and Harry announced their marriage, the UK was excited. Everyone looked forward to the big day. But according to Arthur Edwards, a longtime royal photographer, the day unfolded differently than expected. Arthur, who has traveled with King Charles, was there to capture special moments between the couple. Instead of a magical event, he saw chaos behind the scenes. He described it as a disaster. He said, "The hired photographers were just 5 feet away. It was hopeless. They looked the other way when they passed by in the carriage." The wedding was expected to be a massive celebration. Famous guests like Oprah, Elton John, and Serena Williams attended. Arthur noted that Oprah only met Meghan and Harry once through the Clooneys. He thought to himself that it all felt like a show. He sensed that Meghan and Harry wanted a life in California, away from the royal spotlight. The couple did not seem interested in making guests feel welcome. The wedding was called the wedding of the century, but things did not go smoothly. The wedding planner struggled with the large number of guests, and the event turned out to be much bigger than anyone had anticipated. Many of the guests were celebrities whom Meghan did not know. Arthur pointed out that while it's common to invite a few strangers to a wedding, the number of unknown guests at this wedding was excessive. In fact, some celebrities like Reese Witherspoon chose not to attend because they didn't know the couple. She even said, "Why would I go? I don't even know them." Arthur shares a clear view of a wedding that went wrong from the start. While it may have looked glamorous from home, it felt more like a struggle for survival for Arthur and other guests. The heat at the venue was so intense that it would make anyone uncomfortable. Being part of the royal family, Arthur had to wear an elaborate suit that seemed more suitable for winter than a summer wedding. He tried to stay calm but only wanted to escape the heat. Guests stood in the scorching sun with no shade or way to cool down. Celebrities in their fancy outfits waved the wedding programs to fan themselves. This was not the glamorous event many expected. Then there was the food, or the lack of it. Arthur said the banquet was disappointing. Instead of a grand feast, they served tiny finger foods that left guests hungry. Some were so upset they complained, wishing they had stayed home instead of enduring the heat for a few small snacks. However, the seating arrangements were the worst part. Important royals, who had served the crown for many years, ended up sitting at the back, while lesser royals took the best seats up front. Imagine being a key figure and sitting far away from the action. Arthur was stuck sitting with a minor royal, making it hard for him to see the couple. He joked that it felt like he was watching through a GPS app, wishing there was a way to navigate the chaos of the wedding. The British media was also in a difficult position during the wedding. Prince Harry was upset with them for how they treated Meghan during their engagement. He felt they were unfair towards her, and at the wedding, he avoided the cameras, not wanting any good photos of him and the bride. Arthur felt frustrated by Harry's attitude. What should have been a beautiful wedding turned into the worst event he had ever covered. As he watched everything unfold, he just wanted it to end so he could go home and relax. Arthur has attended many royal weddings, including those of King Charles and Prince William. But that day, he couldn't wait to leave Windsor. It was the worst royal wedding he had ever experienced. What was meant to be a special celebration became more of a networking event. For Harry and Meghan, the wedding felt more like a media event focused on creating headlines and keeping their names in the news, especially since they planned to depart from royal duties. Arthur does not hold back when he says that the wedding was not the grand affair everyone had hoped for. Instead of celebrating love, it felt like a struggle for survival. Guests battled the heat, trying to look elegant while handling the chaos around them. Arthur believes that Harry and Meghan's wedding was not about royal traditions. It felt cold and formal, serving more as a way for them to build their media future. Harry and Meghan had a clear plan for the wedding. Their goal was not to celebrate love or family, but to stay relevant after leaving the royal family. They understood that without royal titles, staying in the media spotlight depended on keeping the media talking about them. And that's what they did. The wedding was not just a ceremony, it was their strategy to exit the royal family. It was their way of ensuring they remained in the public eye. Arthur thinks this wedding marked a turning point for Harry and Meghan. It was not only about marrying each other, but about making a statement. From that moment, they aimed to live on their own terms, away from royal constraints. They claimed their new life would focus on privacy, yet it appeared driven by a need for fame and media attention. Arthur criticizes Harry's choice to leave the royal family and move to the United States, saying he sometimes behaves poorly. He points out that some of Harry's comments about royal family members, including Camilla, Catherine, and his brother, were inappropriate. After the wedding, the drama continued. Arthur notes that Harry and Meghan's separation from the royal family was evident in their first public appearance. Instead of embracing their royal background, they chose to go on Oprah's show to share their complaints, alleging racism and mistreatment in the royal family. Arthur feels strongly that this was not justified. He believes much of the interview was biased and unfair. They focused more on their personal issues than on respecting royal traditions. He reflects on concerns about Archie and his skin color, emphasizing that royal family members would have been present during discussions. Overall, he sees the Oprah interview as another example of how Harry and Meghan prioritized personal grievances over royal values. For Arthur, the wedding was a significant moment. It was not just a day of celebration. It marked the couple's break from royal life. This was not just the wedding of the century, but the start of their journey into a media empire, a path that involved celebrity projects, media ventures, and business. It was more than a wedding. It was the birth of their brand. After the wedding, Harry and Meghan's departure from royal life became clearer. They had two beautiful children, Archie and Lilibet, but their relationship with the royal family grew even more strained. They kept their children away from Harry's family, citing privacy, but it seemed more was happening than they revealed. And it's one of the saddest things of all, Matt, of course, is that the children don't get to see their grandfather. Either grandfather, you know. And that's really so awful because they're not getting to meet their cousins and to know their cousins, and it's such a shame for them. After cutting ties with the royal family, Harry returned to London for the Invictus Games ceremony. Arthur shares that he allegedly turned down an opportunity to stay at the royal palace, citing security concerns. But does that make sense? The palace has top-notch security. When he was over, for the Invictus Games ceremony, he didn't want to stay in a royal residence offered to him by the king because he didn't feel he had enough protection there. Was this just a way for Harry to show that he has distanced himself from the royal family since the wedding? He aimed to live the everyday life he had longed for. Concerned about his safety, he chose to stay at Coworth Park Hotel near Windsor Castle, where he could set up his own security detail and choose his accommodations. Arthur suggests that Harry's safety concerns might have been an excuse to stay at a hotel. Excuse. I think he wanted to stay in a hotel, and he was determined to do that. And don't forget, he travels with a small group of bodyguards as well. And so I suspect that was why he did it. He had his own protection, and he felt that was enough. Arthur's final thoughts on the wedding leave a lasting impression. What was meant to be a joyful moment became a display of ambition and branding. Despite its glamour, the wedding serves as a reminder that things are often not as they appear. What seems like a dream from the outside might be very different behind the scenes. So, what do you think? Was the wedding as grand as it seemed, or was it part of a bigger media strategy? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.